Picture the sanctuary on the morning of the last day of Shavuot filled with people. After a 3-day Yom Tov, it was time to give my first presidential address. While you may or may not have attended, I thought the message was important enough to share via video. For those who don't know me, my wife Linda and I were introduced to Shul about 20 years ago in the weekly Pray and Learn minyan led by Elliot Malamet. We eventually became members, and both Linda and I got involved as volunteers, and later we both were elected to the board. We've had a bar mitzvah here, we've had 2 bat mitzvahs, we've had a wedding, and our kids were youth leaders. Many of our closest friends also we've met here. Professionally, I'm a management consultant, an author, and an expert in digital strategy, although I'm on leave right now. I'd like to start by formally thanking Brian for his leadership over the last number of years. He is the very model of a great volunteer, and I feel fortunate to have served under him. Brian, welcome to your role as immediate past president. Now, during my live presentation, I asked each of the following groups to stand up and be recognized. Now, feel free to do that yourself as you watch this video. I'd like to also recognize the outgoing executive and board. It's a privilege to be working with you, and thank you for your service. Please stand. In particular, I'd like to thank Irving Ben Murgy for his outstanding work as Gabbai over the last half-dozen years. Thank you. I'd like to ask the new Shul executive to stand. Larry Zimmerman, Jonathan Ostro, Rachel Libman, and Robin Govine. Please stand. This is a diverse team of dedicated, talented people. Thank you. I'd like to ask the new board to stand. I am so excited to be working with you. Each of these people has also taken on additional responsibilities as co-chairs of key committees. If you've ever sat on the board, stand. And if you're a past president, please stand. Stand if you've ever served on a committee. Stand if you ever helped at an event or visited the sick or the homebound. Stand if you've given a Devar Torah. If you've contributed to our capital campaigns or sponsored a Kiddush or made a donation, please stand. And stand if anyone in your family has done this. And of course, I have to say that so much is possible because of the leadership of our Klei Kodesh. Rabbi Struckler, Rabbi Diamond, Rabbi Shore, Ralph Levine, and Zvi Katzman. Please stand. At this point, during my address, pretty much everyone in the sanctuary was standing. Now, we were in a beautiful sanctuary, but the people standing, all of them, that is what Sher Shemayim is. If I were to take a look at anything, it's the community, it's us that make us the shul. It's our relationships and our context and our engagement that makes Sher Shemayim special. Please take your seat, and you too. In the last several years, we've collectively made some great strides, from renovations to clergy contracts to rebranding to technology upgrades to catering upgrades to inclusion to Shinshinim to Kiddush Fest to constitutional updates to the great programming for so many different groups, from youth through teens to YPs to YYPs and more, so much more. And a result of the positive energy from all who are standing and all who are contributing, it isn't surprising that we continue to attract new members. And we have, as a shul, been growing. But we still have work to do. We want to be even more relevant to our members, both existing and potential. Spiritual and meaningful davening experience, great Jewish learning, a welcoming experience for visitors, and a supportive environment and a dynamic community. And so here is my ask, then for both newer members and longtime members. It's an invitation to come in and to help make our community even more vibrant with your contribution. Please put up your hand and say, how might I help? How might I help? To anyone on the board, or the rabbi, or Nicole, or to me directly. How might I make a difference? There are so many ways. And if someone thinks highly enough to ask you for your help, please say yes, and know that you too can make a difference. Over the next several years, we have some work to do. We continue to keep our eyes on the developments around us, and particularly the development on the Shoppers Drug Mart site to the west of us. Negotiations are ongoing thanks to a very talented and dedicated team. We have a major mortgage balance that's due this year, and we must work extra hard on balancing the budget in the face of ever-increasing costs. And that topic, please, when you do receive your membership due statement, take care of it immediately. Now, most of you know that this last year has not been an easy one for me and my family, and I'm not out of the woods yet. For those who don't know, about a year ago I had the dubious pleasure of being diagnosed with leukemia, and later had a very difficult bone marrow transplant. Trust me, if you want to lose pounds, Weight Watchers is far less painful. Now, I still have quite a while to go with my recovery, but let me share some of the reasons I said yes when I was asked to be your president. It was because of the great example of Brian Cantor and all the past presidents, a huge number who continue to be involved as active volunteers. It was because of the people who dropped by my hospital room while they were visiting their own spouses who were being treated for cancer. It was because of the person who made 6 peanut butter sandwiches for my wife Linda for more than 7 months while I was in the hospital, dropping them off each week in our mailbox, and because I felt that I could contribute. Life is short. I felt that this was a small way that I too could give back to a community that has given my family so much. Life is short, and we have to make sure that every day counts. What my recovery means is that it will be several more months before I'll be able to sit in the big chair at the top of the bima, or even come to shul on Shabbat because of the risk of infection. I'll be honoring other shul leaders, many of whom were standing at the beginning of my presentation, with sitting in the chair and introducing themselves and their committee's work to you. My recovery also means that I can no longer be shaking hands or touching other people. Instead, think of my nod and my smile as substitutes. Too often, we hear that there's a lot of politics in life. At work, on boards, in the community. There need not be. Let's celebrate some of the good that we create together. It costs us each nothing to give each other a smile, or invite somebody new to your Shabbat table, or ask how you can help somebody else. It costs us nothing to reward ourselves with learning from our great heritage, or to say yes when somebody asks for your help, or to get involved or to contribute. Or to say thank you to Nicole, our executive director, or Anthony Nettie, our facilities manager, or their staff. Or to quietly make peanut butter sandwiches each week for 7 months. Over the next 2 years, if we have a theme, it's this. It's about building community, relationships, and engagement. The more we give, the more we get. Let's think we, not me. On behalf of the board and the executive, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity for us to serve. And thank you for making this shul a great community. May we go from strength to strength.